Hey folks, welcome back to Gaming Garbage, where we take a look at games, chat about the gaming news of the industry, and of course, stream for fun. Today we're talking about the first actual quadruple A budget game, which is just insane. That's going to be GTA 6. And I'm going to go through some of the information and data here. A lot of other people have definitely done some legwork, but one thing that is definitely interesting is we know that Rockstar makes GTA, right? They make Grand Theft Auto. Well, Rockstar North, which is the lead development studio. So, of course, there's other studios on top of it that are supporting. Studio for making GTA 6. They've spent approximately $2.1 billion on wages between 2019 and 2025. Well, they're still working on it in 2026, aren't they? Because we're not getting it until November. As marketing has yet to officially begin, this may lead to a speculation that the game's budget, and of course everything else on top of it, could actually be closer to $3 billion. This is insane. And yeah, this data and information was actually publicly filed from the UK company's house, which is revealed, how much they basically spent. And here's the actual tweet right here, which is insane. So yeah, just the fact that they've spent 2.1 billion on salaries and wages. There's other stuff partnered with that. Now, when we take a look at Take-Two Interactive, well, yeah, this kind of fits. Now, this is Take-Two as a whole. Okay, they have more than just Rockstar. They have Gearbox and some others, but they definitely are spending a ton of money. There's definitely a really big drag here. So this is looking annually every single year. And we get to see that they made the most net profit in 2020, and then in 21 a little bit less. So we're looking at negative 1 billion, negative 3.7, negative 4.5. And yeah, that profit margin too, the orange line just continues to go down. When we take a look at roughly, this is Rocket Reach again. There's kind of varied estimates, but a lot of them are centering around 5,000 employees across Rockstar Games information. And when we take a look at everything that they actually own underneath the sun, there's quite a few of them, and they're all over the world. Now, Rockstar North is, of course, the bigger one. They're roughly estimated right now at maybe 600 to 1,000 employees. But again, we don't necessarily know. But yeah, there were two others that were sunset quite a while ago. But yeah, as far as we know, all of these are still running and working, and they're probably most of these are probably working on various projects within GTA 6. Because yeah, this is supposed to be again a huge, massive game. I mean, they've been talking about this and announcing it now for three years. Yeah, kind of insane. When we take a look at a budget analysis of some of the biggest games that have ever been made, roughly the idea is that development is $200 to $500 million, marketing budget is $100 to $300 million. 500 million, 1 to 300 million, and then post-launch support is 50 to 200 million dollars. And when you add up all of the big numbers, it's roughly $1 billion. Now, taking a kind of looking at the overall budget, okay, itself. That's what most is looked for on whether we're giving it like an indie, a double A, a triple A, or now a quadruple A type of title on how big in scale the game is. That's really all those letters are really meaning. So indie is usually under 10 million somewhere. It can even be hundreds of thousands of dollars, but generally under $10 million. And then when we're looking at double A, usually more money is spent. There's more devs in the process. And this is where quite a few games would actually fall, but we're looking in like the tens of millions for a total. And then when we're getting into AAA, well, AAA is usually, over 150 million now at this point, or even like 200 million. Many of them in the 2020s have been over 200 million for a budget, or even more than that, which is kind of insane. And so, yeah, it can be a ton of money. Well, and then AAA can get as big as $700 million. When we take a look at like Call of Duty and Battlefield 6 and Marvel's Wolverine, and even like Spider-Man 2, that was a little over 300 million just to make the game. But yeah, these games are insanely big. Black Ops 7, we don't know, but we know that Cold War with pre- and post-launch support was roughly $700 million. It was also expected that for Black Ops 6 as well. 7, we don't know. Battlefield 6, we know, is about $490 million to make the game. And then, yeah, we don't really have necessarily an idea for Wolverine. We do know for Cyberpunk 2077, the total budget plus the fixes and refunds and all of that stuff, we're looking at $650 million to actually make that game and fix it and port it over, and the expansion cost and all of that for the DLC. So yeah, very, very expensive. Well, we've never really had a quadruple A game before. No, Skull and Bones doesn't count, even though that's what they said. That is definitely not a quality of a quadruple A game. And then two, if we're getting to a point now where the idea is that they've spent billions just on the wages and stuff, that is completely next level. We're not talking hundreds of millions, we're talking billions of dollars. That's definitely a step up, right? And so, yeah, that's why I would call it actually the first quadruple A game. Now, a little bit more about GTA 6. There is some stuff floating around, but just my personal thought is that I still think the base game is going to be $70. We know that we're going to have the base game, and then the multiplayer will be sold to us separately at a later date. And I think that will be $30 or $40. And so if we have 70 or 30 or 40, that's roughly our $100 game that we've heard some leaks about last year. But not everyone's going to be interested probably in the multiplayer. But also that means the multiplayer could also be more expensive. So I still think the cost will be $70. The $80 price tag has generally been rejected. We've already had Nintendo try that with Mario Kart Worlds, and a lot of people bought it as long as it was a bundle, but not necessarily individually. And then, yeah, the Worlds didn't necessarily go over super well with a lot of the player base with the next couple of months following, even though they, quote, fixed the game. A lot of players just not overly happy with it. And then, too, we also had Xbox try the $80 price tag, and that really backfired, too. They completely walked that back. That wasn't just for Outer Worlds 2. That was supposed to be basically every big budget game going forward was going to be $80. Well, and that really didn't work out. People really pushed back, probably canceled pre-orders and stuff. They got to see those numbers and they're like, you know what? We better not do that. We're just going to go back to $70. Again, not just for Outer Worlds 2, but for all of the games coming forward. Not to say they won't try it again or that PlayStation won't try it at some point. I'm certainly sure they will, but just maybe not anytime soon. We'll have to see. But yeah, at this point, for a possibly I just can't believe I'm saying this, $3 billion game, they would have to make, well, let's see, what's the math? They would have to sell roughly 43 million copies just to break even. Now, GTA 5, again, has sold hundreds of millions of copies. And they've done a wonderful job, though I think they will definitely make their money back. But I am, too, thinking that people will be surprised how little GTA 6 will actually sell. And I think it's partly comes down to just how expensive things are now outside of video games. It's just very, very expensive. And then, two, I think people are kind of tired of the live service model. We got to remember GTA 5 came out in 2013. Live service really wasn't a huge thing yet. DLCs and expansions were still around with weapons and gear and vehicles and map expansions and quests and all of this kind of stuff, and that was kind of nice. But lately, it's just turned into a lot of cosmetics, and also GTA 5 Online has really touted that way with GTA Plus and removing a whole bunch of cars and winding them into the casino and all of this other stuff. So I'm not really sure if people are going to be as maybe excited outside of just the campaign. And then, two, I know, including myself, we're going to kind of wait to see what reviews are like to see if we want to buy it now or if we want to buy it later. The people have definitely gotten burned with just, the last several years of GTA 5 and online and how they've done things. And yeah, so I personally don't think it's going to sell as well as maybe people think it will, but that's also not to say that I don't think they're not going to make their money back. But yeah, $3 billion, that is an insane amount of money. I definitely think they'll probably sell over 100 million copies. I think people are going to be very excited for this. But I think a lot of that, too, is also just waiting for it to come out on PC. I think the people that need to are kind of a smaller margin than maybe it was for GTA 5. And so I don't think they'll sell too many copies necessarily. Maybe a few tens of millions for PlayStation 5 and Xbox. But I definitely think there's going to be quite a few people also just waiting for the PC version because there's also so many options out there. So anyway, that's kind of my thoughts. But yeah, just the first quadruple A game, you know, that's wow. I don't. I hope we don't get to the pintuple where there's five A's. That would be yeah, $10 billion for a video game. That'd be kind of insane. The next game that I think has gotten close to this would probably be like EVE Online, which is an MMO, or like Star Citizen, which has probably spent around $1 billion by now. But yeah, it's just crazy to think that games are starting to cost this much and how much risk is associated with that. Let's say GTA 6 launches and it's super buggy for 48 hours. Man, that is going to get out and spread like wildfire. And that is going to be very bad for Rockstar, I think, because people too are expecting a certain level, especially with the pedigree that some of these studios have had. We've seen a lot of studios and publishers lose that trust and confidence in the player base with what they've been putting out in the 2020s. So a lot of us don't expect that to happen with Rockstar, but boy, if it did, that could definitely damage the sales out of the gate. So anyway, what do you guys think? With that, folks, I'll see you guys on the next one.